We're diving a bit more into the apparent activity, the movements, the tracking of recording artist David as a body of a young girl was found in a car that was registered to him. Plus, we also have just seen brand new footage of this victim, Celeste Rivas Hernandez, from September of 2024. This completely shakes up the timeline. You couple that with the newly released death certificate, it's time to get into some updates in this mystery. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. When it comes to the continuing investigation into the teenage girl who was found in a trunk of a car registered to 20-year-old singer David, while yesterday's Sidebar was about her movements, her activity, now we're going to talk about him. I mean, where is he right now? We don't even know. And this is going to be a very much David-centered discussion. But before we even talk about him, there are two big updates we got to address that came out after our recording from yesterday. New footage, new document, and it regards the victim. It regards Celeste Rivas Hernandez, whose decomposed, dismembered body was found by authorities in that 2023 Tesla that was impounded in a Hollywood tow yard out in Los Angeles. Well, first of all, her death certificate has been released. We'll talk about that. Not really a bombshell, okay? It lists things we already knew, like how she was found on September 8th, 2025 in a vehicle. The cause of death has been deferred. The manner of death is pending. When we talk about manner of death, that could be, homicide, accidental. But this, again, is not surprising because there is still an ongoing investigation, and it's consistent with the reporting that we've seen so far. And while the death certificate confirms that an autopsy was performed, reporting suggests that the medical examiner is waiting on the results of toxicology examinations. Now, this is interesting. The death certificate indicates that Celeste apparently was not pregnant at the time of her death, nor had she been pregnant in the last year. And this comes as there has been a lot of speculation about her relationship, her connection with David. So we're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about his movements. Before we do that, one more thing about Celeste, and this is big. So in our previous episode of Sidebar, we talked about how Celeste had reportedly run away in the past. And there were surveillance footage from March of 2024 that was released. It was taken from a local liquor shop in Lake Elsinore. She apparently lived nearby. That's about 75, 76 miles away from where her body was found in that Tesla. Now, that footage seemingly captured her walking and then jogging down a street. She turned the corner and she disappears from view. We thought this may be the last known footage of her before she vanished and ultimately was found in that Tesla this year. Turns out there is new footage. There is additional footage that we have to talk about. This came out after we did our recording yesterday. So TMZ obtained footage of what appears to be Celeste in September 2024. So that is different from the timeline that we had all understood, right? The one that we thought she went missing in April of 2024. In this footage that was captured on Nest camera on September 8th, 2024, and apparently provided by neighbors, it seemingly shows Celeste upset, arguing with people, reportedly over a prank that was pulled on her parents' home, potentially ding-dong ditch. TMZ reporting that racial slurs may even have been used during this altercation. And also, according to TMZ, a neighbor's boyfriend went over to Celeste's family home afterwards to say sorry, but Celeste's dad reportedly didn't seem to be too upset by the whole thing. Okay, the reason this is important, again, the reason this is key, is because it shows Celeste, or apparently shows Celeste, alive at Lake Elsinore in September of 2024 after she had disappeared, after she was missing, and apparently was on missing persons posters since April of 2024. Also, TMZ points out that September 8th, when this happened, is the day after her 14th birthday. And by the way, in a chilling twist, that is 1 year before she was found in that car. She was found in that car one day after she would have turned 15 years old. So not sure if police have obtained this video, not sure if police are using it in their investigation, not sure if they have questioned the people in this video. But look, if this video shows what it appears to show, that could be quite significant as we're tracking whatever she was up to, whatever her movements were, a timeline leading up to her death. But now you go back to David, real name David Anthony Burke, okay, this 20-year-old performer. What were his movements? What was his activity? Now, to be clear, Authorities haven't identified him as a suspect. They haven't identified him as a person of interest, nor has he been implicated in any crime or implicated in any wrongdoing whatsoever. By the way, they haven't identified any suspect or person of interest. But look, her body was found in the trunk of a car that was registered to him out of Hempstead, Texas. So let's just start at his social media activity, for example, okay? A key period of time. As we reported yesterday, the car was apparently on that block in Hollywood Hills for quite some time before it was towed and impounded. The car was ticketed apparently 11 days before Celeste's body was found inside. So on August 27th, a parking enforcement officer marked the car. September 3rd, the officer issued a citation for violating a 72-hour parking ordinance. September 5th, it was towed. September 8th is when the body's found. And neighbors reportedly told NBC Los Angeles that that car had maybe been there for about a month. Okay, so now you look at some of David's social media clips leading up to the discovery of Celeste's body in this car. These are all on Instagram, by the way. So September 1st, there's a video of him giving a hug to singer Kaye on stage. September 2nd, there's promotion of a collaboration with Fortnite. Underneath an animated picture of David, it says, "Tomorrow, David, Fortnite, locked and loaded. Official Fortnite anthem music video drops on all platforms at 5 p.m. Eastern. I started making music for my Fortnite montages 3 years ago. Man, this is crazy. Thank you." September 5th, he posts a selfie in the mirror with the caption, "I start media training tomorrow. Guys, wish me luck," with a kind of a worried face emoji. September 7th, there is a post promoting his album release. It says, "Wither Deluxe, Morescence out September 19th. Now, he was also on tour when a lot of this was going on, and I want to talk about that too. So apparently he kicked off the tour on August 5th in Del Mar, California, with stops in Dallas, Atlanta, New York, Philadelphia, Detroit. This is according to USA Today. Actually, as reported by TMZ and the Gazetteer, he also performed at the Warfield out in San Francisco in July 2. This is before the tour fully kicked off. But his tour was canceled. His tour was canceled before he was set to perform on Friday, September 19th in San Francisco, and out in Los Angeles on September 20th. And while an exact reason hadn't been disclosed, it did seem to coincide with this investigation into Celeste's death ramping up. He was also supposed to go, by the way, international. The tour had dates, at least 9 European tour dates, shows that were listed on Ticketmaster. There was one for October 1st in Norway. There was a scheduled Grammy Museum appearance in Los Angeles. That was pulled, too, from the venue's website. His label, Interscope, told TMZ that all promotion for David, including his deluxe album release, that was being paused. And I will say, this wasn't immediate, by the way. So when Los Angeles authorities found a body in this Tesla that was registered to him, before the body was positively identified as that of Celeste, he went on stage in Minneapolis. At this concert, he even handed out Labubus to the crowd. But TMZ reported that once Celeste was ID'd, his tour was canceled. And that included an upcoming show in Seattle.
It ain't on their phone.
And this is not a Texas.
Yeah, it's an out-of-state number.
Someone's messing with us.
Were David's parents victims of a swatting incident as police investigate the discovery of a dead body in a car registered to the singer's name? Is he being targeted? Is he being framed? We have the body cam that we're going to get into. Plus, this young dead girl, Celeste Rivas Hernandez, her apparent ex-boyfriend is speaking out. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Such a strange update in the David story. We have been covering every aspect of this investigation of the body of teenager Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who was found dead in a car that was registered to singer David out in Hollywood. This happened at the beginning of last month. There have been no arrests. There have been no identified persons of interest, no suspects, no confirmed relationship or connection between David and Celeste, who, by the way, when her body was found, it was one day after she had turned 15 years old. But now we have something new. Now we have this new video, and it is so weird. Not even sure if it's connected or ties into this case per se, maybe, but we're going to discuss it. So TMZ obtained police body cam footage, and this is from days after Celeste's body was found in that 2023 Tesla. And police show up to David's Hempstead, Texas family home. So we're talking September 18th, after Celeste was ID'd. And the Texas officers, they respond to this home, guns drawn, and they respond to a report of gunfire.
I'll go out wide and keep you covered. You want to tap the door? Just wait for me, Because I'm going to keep you covered. Go ahead. I got you covered. Come right here. There's too many windows. Here, knock on the door. Dude, we got a phone call from here saying that somebody was dead. What? Is there somebody else that lives on this property that has your address? What's your address?
No.
That's it.
That's it. That's what actually got.
We got an address. There was a gunshot and a woman scream.
What?
I'm serious. That's why we came up here like this, because and then they talked to the caller. Whoever they were talking to said that there's a person dead.
No, sir. No, sir.
So officers have guns drawn. They're ready, thinking someone might be dead. And there is just seemingly a lot of confusion by David's parents. They don't appear to have any idea what's going on. They close the door. So let's see what happens next.
Ma'am, we got to figure out what's going on so we can leave, okay?
Very advised. We made contact. They said nothing happened here. She shut the door. Now she's calling 911.
That's clear. We haven't received a call.
I believe she's going to be in the process.
Go ahead, give him a call if you want to verify it. Okay.
All right, she's calling you now. There's more that went on.
Can you repeat, sir? Broken traffic.
Huh? That's not normal activity. If you were at the wrong address, they'd be concerned about somebody else. Like really? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they'd be trying to help.
Can you send 10-42, sir?
Sorry to bother you, but somebody called and said there was something. I mean, there was a person that they called on themselves. You know what I mean? It was like, hey, there's somebody dead.
Someone's dead. Yeah.
That's what we had. I mean, we had to take caution. You know what I mean? Wasn't trying to scare y'all. Just this house is way off the roadway.
So you just opened the gate and came in?
Yes, ma'am. I'll put it back. I have a gate just like it.
I think it's hard to get to my country.
Yeah, when it's something like this, when they say somebody's dead, their life matters more than, you know what I mean?
I hear.
I didn't damage your gate. I just opened it.
And that is when there is a realization. Did someone just prank them? Are they the victims now of swatting?
It ain't on their phone.
And that's not it. This is not a Texas.
Yeah, that's an out-of-state number.
Someone's messing with us.
But it would be pinged here though, because wherever they call from, it pings and sends it to dispatch.
What?
So like whenever you call 911, wherever you are, it sends like a ping that's how they know the address.
And this address came up to this number?
Yes, ma'am. That's where he was meeting. County to engine 42.
So it says somebody on my property?
It could be. We'll check the property for you.
Yes, please.
So we'll ride around. If you can give me a layout, how's the property? Like, does it go further back?
No, it doesn't go any further back. It's just right here and then it goes right here.
The fence, there was a gate here and the fence around, which is a private fence.
Well, him and I will ride around and check, and then we'll leave.
Yeah, okay. So that was a false alarm. You see, I don't like this kind of thing. So if I really do have an emergency, then
yeah.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Sorry.
Well, if you do have an emergency, you know we're going to be here.
Okay.
We're going to get here.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right.
Y'all have a good night.
Someone is messing with us. Yeah, it's pretty scary. And you can see David's mom wondering whether someone is still on the property. Now, it's not clear if David was in the home when this was going on. According to TMZ, the police report indicated that officers spent another 20 minutes on the property, possibly to see if anyone was there. It appears this could have been an instance of swatting. We don't see any kind of confirmed continuing investigation into this or whether or not there's been any arrests. Is this connected to anything regarding Celeste? And I will tell you one thing I wonder. There is a theory that David was framed. right? A body was found in his car in a public place. Does this connect to that? Is he being targeted in some way? Singer David has hired a prominent defense attorney as rumors and speculation around the death of a 14-year-old girl, Celeste Rivas Hernandez, continue to grow. The teen was found dead in a car registered to the viral artist, who was in the middle of a tour when her remains were found. Now, as Celeste's family prepares to say goodbye, we're digging into the latest details as well as theories about what might have happened to her, and we're going to break it all down with criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Matt McGeough. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. One of the songs that rocketed David Anthony Burke, known by his moniker David, to stardom was Romantic Homicide. It is back on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, okay, the hit, which originally went viral on TikTok back in 2022. It has re-entered the charts at number 38, according to Billboard. So why the sudden interest? Well, for anybody who's been following us here on Sidebar, you know there is a lot going on right now. It seems that fans, new and old, are connecting that chilling song title with an investigation into the death of a teenager who was apparently associated or connected with David before she went missing in 2024. Now, we're talking about the fact that her body was found in a car registered in his name. We are covering every angle of the investigation by LAPD into Celeste Rivas Hernandez's death. The cause of death, which is so far listed as deferred on her death certificate. We don't know the manner of death either. Police say her decomposed body was found in the trunk of a Tesla at Hollywood Tow Yard in Los Angeles back in September. This was one day after she would have turned 15. LAPD sources told People magazine that Celeste's remains had likely been inside that car for weeks as it sat, apparently abandoned on a neighborhood street before it was towed. Tow yard workers had called the police when at least one person had realized there was this horrible smell coming from the car. That is when first responders found Celeste's body. It was apparently wrapped in a plastic bag. But here's the thing, despite that Tesla being registered to David, despite him apparently renting a property near where that car was parked, and even despite his alleged connection to the victim, he has not been named as a suspect. He has not been named as a person of interest. He has not been implicated officially in any wrongdoing or any crime. In fact, no one has been named as a suspect so far. In fact, an LAPD commanding officer said it is possible that Celeste wasn't even murdered. That perhaps her death, when we think about it, was it attributed to something else, an accident, overdose? In other words, there is a possibility that the only crime could be someone tried to hide her body. So as we await more testing, like toxicology reports, we know that the medical examiner performed an autopsy on Celeste's remains, determined that she was not pregnant, nor had she been pregnant in the last year. That's important because there's been speculation that there could have been some sort of sexual relationship between David and this young girl. He's 20 years old right now. And as more and more rumors spread about David's alleged potential involvement, he has canceled his music tour, which was supposed to include more stops in the U.S., also abroad. He appears to have gone off the grid. We don't know where he is. His social media pages kind of void of new videos and photographs. But there is this. This is new. LA Magazine now reports that David has hired a prominent celebrity defense attorney, Blair Burke. Now, she has represented very high-profile clients: Harvey Weinstein, CeeLo Green, Bruno Mars, Britney Spears, Lindsay Lohan. She also, by the way, most recently represented Monica Cementelli, the Los Angeles mom who was sentenced to life in prison for the 2017 murder of her celebrity hairstylist husband, Fabio Cementelli. So to talk about this, to talk about the implications of these new details, particularly hiring a defense attorney, let's bring in our own criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor, Matt McGeough. To be clear, Matt doesn't represent us in a criminal arena, but we love having him on. He's a great guest. Matt, it's really good to see you. So a lot of online sleuths in the true crime community, they are obsessed with this case. They are digging into David's past internet activity, his posts that are either with Celeste, believed to be with her, believed to be about her. There's been a lot of reaction to his hiring of Blair Burke. Before we even get into what the reaction is online, your thoughts on him apparently, reportedly, retaining Blair Burke.
Well, that's a good decision. Anytime your name starts swirling around in a criminal investigation, even though the police have made it clear that he's not a suspect at this point, it's always a good idea to hire an attorney. Before you talk to anybody, before the police come out and talk to you or ask to talk to you, have an attorney in place, have someone who can try to control the narrative, at least, because, of course, he is a celebrity and his wealth and his resources come from his celebrity status. And so you want to protect that as well. And so a criminal defense attorney, someone particularly who's represented other people who were celebrities, can be very helpful in this very important time.
Why do it now? Why do it now? This is after, by the way, that Celeste was ID'd. This was after apparently the property he was renting was searched by law enforcement. They reportedly confiscated some materials. This is after he canceled his tour. This is, after the death certificate was published. Why now?
Well, I think, let's be honest. I mean, this is kind of a strange situation. There's no question there's a connection between him and this teenage girl, very young. Her body is found in his car. He has a place, or his manager has a place nearby where he may have been staying. We can't ignore the lyrics of some of his music, which are eerily close to what the facts of this case are. Now, prosecutors are not going to file homicide charges until they know the cause and manner of death. And, as your viewers, Jesse, know that this could be an accidental death. It could have been a suicide. It's unlikely that it's natural causes. But the question is it homicide, and what was the cause of death? Once those two things are answered, I think this investigation, really picks up some steam.
If David weren't in any way connected to the death of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, wouldn't someone have come out with a statement? As we think about the car, the property he was apparently renting, the new footage, the statement from police, we are now getting new perspective on this case from a former detective commander. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. As we continue to cover the investigation into the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, whose body was found in the trunk of a car registered to singer 20-year-old David last month, I want to now get new perspective. And I want to get new perspective, who we're going to bring on in a minute, a retired detective commander. And I think it's important because there are so many moving parts to this, especially since so much has been happening as of late. We learned a new timeline of events. We learned about what was happening with that property that apparently was being rented by David, whose real name is David Anthony Burke, which was reportedly, by the way, near where the car, the Tesla, with Celeste's body inside was found. This property apparently nearby. We learned there was a possibility she wasn't murdered. But here's the thing. There have been no arrests since her body was found in the trunk on September 8th. Authorities have not identified a suspect nor a person of interest. And to be clear, David has not officially been implicated in any wrongdoing or any crime, and law enforcement have not even come out with a definitive connection between the singer and Celeste. But I want to bring on right now Will Svilar, who's a retired detective commander. Will, thank you so much for taking the time. You and I haven't had a chance to talk about this case yet, as it's really in the news. It's continuing to develop. We're trying to understand what's happening behind the scenes. Since you and I haven't spoken, let me get your perspective. Why no arrest? Why not name any suspect? Why not name any person of interest at this point? It's been weeks now, and it's almost, what are we at? Almost a month, almost a full month since the body was found.
Well, one thing I want to be clear on is a crime has been committed. Now, and the crime is minimum, we call it in Illinois, desecration of a corpse or improper handling of a dead body. The girl was put in the trunk of a car, dismembered. Somebody did that. That's a crime. Now, the events leading up to her death and her actual cause of death still has to be determined. And without that, you're not going to get a murder charge. Unless somebody says it's a murder, and that's the medical examiner, you're not going to get a murder charge.
To couple that, we've talked about this extensively here on Sidebar, but I haven't talked to you about it. LAPD Captain Commanding Officer Scott M. Williams told People magazine, quote, "The Los Angeles County Medical Examiner has not determined a cause or manner of her death, so we don't know for sure if anyone has any criminal culpability for her death beyond the concealment of her dead body." Now, with that in mind, something I don't think we've talked about yet, is that Fox 11 LA, they spoke with a private investigator, Steve Fisher, who apparently got his hands on images of that car, the Tesla, that Celeste was found in. And remember, this car was apparently sitting there for weeks before it was towed to that tow yard, and then workers there smelled this foul odor and alerted authorities. But it was in the Hollywood Hills. Now, it could suggest she was in that trunk for that extended period of time, too. We don't know how long she was in the trunk per se, but her body was decomposed. Anyway, so Fisher says, quote, "The car almost looks like it's been off-road in the desert or something. The wheel wells are all beat up. There's a huge dent in the back. This could have been an overdose, and they panicked and hid her body because they didn't want to expose the relationship between her and the minor." And by the way, she was found 1 day after she would have turned 15. With that in mind, you had mentioned that a crime has been committed. We're just not exactly sure how many crimes.
That's absolutely true. And that's correct. Everything we talk about now as far as cause of death is speculation until we have some science to back it up. When you talk about a crime, we talk about the concealment, the dismemberment, the desecration of the corpse. We also talk about a situation where if they can prove that there's some sort of relationship between a 14-year-old and a 20-year-old, that's a problem for him. Yeah, the age of consent in Illinois is 17. You can't give consent at 14 to be with an adult. There's another crime. That's like the backside of that is another crime. If the LAPD can come up with definitive proof that he was in fact involved in a relationship, he has another problem.
Let's analyze this a bit. What makes more sense to you? Someone panicked, put the body in the car, didn't have enough time to know what to do with it. The car was there for a long period of time, though, so I don't know if that makes sense. Or we're purposely putting it in this car. We know it's registered to David. The car is near where the property he was renting was. There's an argument we're targeting David. I mean, what makes more sense to you?
Well, it's an awful elaborate scheme to target David by a rival or something along those lines, to do a murder and then steal his car and then put the body in the car. Now, he never reported this car stolen, so we don't know if there's an auto theft in that. That seems pretty elaborate to me. The girl dying of her natural causes is possible. A murder is definitely possible. And you say the car is found not far from where the house he was renting. The car's been evidence that it's been in the desert off the road. If I'm investigating this, I am trying to find a route from his home to where this body is found and see if there is any, part of the out of the desert or an off-road area where maybe she dies or she's killed. They take her to that spot. They do what they do to her body, put it in the car, and then get rid of it and then ditch the car. So there's a lot of things that still have to be determined.
And to be clear, law enforcement hasn't come out and said, what the condition of the car was. But here's the point. When we say there's been officially no identified suspect or person of interest, do you think police really do have somebody? And I guess the bigger question is, and this is a bigger theme I have today, are they just not making it public? If it didn't involve David at all, in any way, would they say it? Would they say, hey, listen, we want to clear him. At least we'll put out a statement and say at this point in time, David is not connected to this whatsoever. I haven't seen a statement like that. Now, I'm not suggesting that he is. Again, he hasn't been officially implicated in wrongdoing. But would it be typical of police to say if he had absolutely no involvement in this whatsoever, and there's this whole cloud on a lot of public attention, I have to imagine they have more information than we do at this point. Would they come out and immediately, clear him of anything?
It's case-by-case basis. I mean, if you absolutely know it's not him, you know that. But I can tell you that these detectives are operating on theories, too. There's probably 2 or 3 different theories that they're operating under. And I think they're not giving that information that he's been cleared because they just don't know yet. They're still trying to figure out exactly what went down, what caused this girl's death. When we talk about persons of interest, it's kind of a weird statement to use or a weird way to depict somebody as a person of interest in a disappearance. Because a girl's been missing for 1.5 years, roughly, I believe is the number. How could you be a person of interest in a disappearance unless you're doing an abduction? And I don't think there's any evidence that she was abducted. It seems like she left under her own free will. So I think there's not a lot of information coming out because they just don't know yet. They're operating under theories, but you can't just, talk about all your theories.
What's going on?
I heard some gunshots.
Okay. How close to your residence were they?
They were right outside my house. And I think someone's dead.
We've talked about how David's parents seem to be the victims of a swatting incident as police investigate the death of a young girl found in the singer's car. But right now, we have the audio of the person calling in that apparent fake report to David's parents' home. And as we think about, is David being targeted? Is someone framing or harassing him? Was this person hiding their voice on the call? Let's find out when we bring on a forensic audio expert. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Okay, so we're exploring another strange, weird aspect of this whole investigation into the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. As we know, her body was found in the trunk of a car out in LA that was registered to viral singer 20-year-old David. Her decomposed body was found in this car that was towed to a Hollywood tow yard. And as we have covered extensively, right now there are no arrests, there are no named or identified suspects or persons of interest. And as law enforcement try to understand what happened to this girl, what were her movements, what exactly was her connection to David, was she killed or simply placed in the Tesla after her death, how long was she in the car, who put her there, all of that. One interesting question that has come out is, has David been targeted? Is he being set up? Is he being framed? And there is this recent alleged swatting incident at his parents' house in Texas. You wonder, is that connected to the Celeste investigation in some way? Well, right now, we have important audio, a 911 phone call to play for you. So, as we previously reported on an episode of Sidebar, TMZ obtained police body cam footage, and this is from days after Celeste's body was found in that Tesla, and they show up to David's Hempstead, Texas family home. So we're talking September 18th. This is after Celeste was ID'd. Now, the Texas officers, they respond to this home because there's a report of gunfire. When officers arrive at David's parents' home, the parents appear to be shocked, confused, scared. No idea who would do this. You know, calling police to their property for a fake crime, that's a serious matter. That's a serious allegation. Well, we have a new update in this. So TMZ has released the audio of that 911 phone call that started all of this. And it kind of sounds like the voice is distorted, maybe someone using a voice changer. We're going to play the audio for you. We're going to try to see if someone is masking their identity. Makes you wonder who could have done this. Is it connected to Celeste? And by the way, no arrests in connection with this call either. So we thought we'd do something different. All right. We thought, why not bring on a forensic audio and video analyst to take a listen to this call? Okay. So let's welcome on to Sidebar Jennifer Owen, president of Owen Forensic Services. Thank you so much for taking the time. Real quick, tell everybody what you do so everybody knows your expertise in this field.
Okay, well, my day-to-day differs because I do forensic audio and video. But basically, I have my hands in anything that is recorded. And in this day and age, that's almost everything. And I deal with either the authenticity of those audio or video recordings, or as we could tell, the AI of today, what's real and what's not, and where the provenance or the integrity of the files are in question. That is my big day to day. But I also do voice recognition. I do clarifications on audio and video. So it's changing day to day, but I spend a lot of time telling people what's real and what's not.
Do you know what I call this? I call this the perfect guest for what we're about to do. So Jennifer, thank you. Let me real quick, I'm going to play the full call and then we're going to break it down.
Waller County Sheriff's Office is Amber. Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, Waller County Sheriff's Office.
Hello, I need help.
Okay, what's going on? Where are you at?
My address is...
Okay, what's going on?
I heard, some, gunshots.
Okay. How close to your residence were they?
They were, right outside my house, and I think someone's dead.
Okay, what's your name?
Say it again?
What's your name? Okay, what's a good phone number for you, sir? Okay, and why do you believe that somebody's dead?
I just heard, a loud scream, and there was, gunshots.
Oh, scream. Okay. After shots. Okay, but you haven't saw or heard anything else after that?
I heard a scream.
Was it a male or a female scream, do you think?
It was a female.
Female? Okay, we're going to go ahead and get deputies headed out that way. Just confirming you're at...
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to get them sent that way, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right, Jennifer, let's start here. Is someone concealing their voice in this 911 call?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
And how do you know, what are they doing to mask their voice?
Well, first and foremost, just listening to it as either a lay person or if you were a forensic audio analyst, it's the robotic inflection. That's the first tip right then and there where you're like, wait a second, what am I hearing? It's the irregular vibrato, it's the inflection. And then you're saying, well, you know, it could be the way it was recorded, because there's also a lot of recording problems when it goes into something like this. So just from listening, you're like, wait a second, that's a red flag. We need to dig a little bit deeper into this. And that's when you come to me and say, hey, Jen, you know, can you check this out? What are we dealing with here? Is this signs of manipulation or any kind of harmonic distortion? Or is this just a recording issue and I'm thinking outside the box? So I take a listen to it, and it's a mismatch between what we usually hear when we're speaking with someone, even on a bad line or a bad recording. So let's go a little bit further. So then I'm going to ask you about the provenance or the integrity and, you know, the source recording of where we got this from. And that brings up an issue in your business, because you're constantly investigating. The truth seekers, the truth tellers always come to me and say, hey, can I put this on the air and be absolutely sure about what I'm saying here? Mm-hmm. So that brings us to, all right, I've gotten a red flag because I listened to it. So let me ask the person who gave this to me about the integrity of the recording. Now, here's the problem. By the time it gets to us, or the investigators, or the truth seekers, as I call everybody, or anyone in forensics, it's been stepped on and touched by a million different hands. And it's been downloaded and uploaded, and it's been over here and encoded and transcoded and rewrapped and every which way but up. So you would look at the metadata, you would look at the media information, you would look what I call underneath the hood, hexadecimal data, things of that nature, to say, hey, where did this come from? And can we trust the source? And most of the time you can't. So when you're taking stuff from the internet, usually the metadata gets erased.
Right.
So we have nothing to work with. So then we got to dig a little deeper.
Let me just back up 1 second. Putting aside from the fact of, you know, the source of it, where it came from, the fact it was published on, you know, the internet, now everybody hears it. Just to be clear about something, when you're listening to that recording, are you suggesting, A, it is a real life person using a piece of technology to mask their true voice, or is this AI generated?
Well, it could be either, but just from my experience and, 30 years of doing this, it sounded like a voice changer to me. And the reason why it sounded like a voice changer is because it all had to do with pitch. And for those of you at home, real simple, pitch is how high or how low your voice can go. And that's real easy to change. Real easy to change. You can do that with, a free app, a 99-cent app. You can do that with forensic software. If you make music, you can do that. You can do that on your WavePad. You can do that on anything. So pitch is basically just the degree of high or low of the voice. And that's the easiest way to start. But I have a sample here that I want to show you how easy it is and how by looking at it, we can say, wait a second, this is our first clue. This is the first red flag. I'm going to put this in forensic software, and I'm just going to take a look at the voice formats and say, hey, how was this done?
So is this you saying this may be how the voice was changed using this piece of technology, this program? Is that what you're showing us?
It's very possible.
Okay, so show it to us.
On the law, I need help. 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 On the law, I need help.
Okay, so Jennifer, there is a possibility that someone is using a technology to mask their voice, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
And how I do see that when I put it into the software, okay? Now, when you're looking at it visually, and the first thing I did was I took a small phrase, okay, from the actual recording that you sent me. And then following up on that, 4 times I changed the pitch right in a row. Then I took the pitch down 10. Then I took it down another 10. And then I raised it all the way up to what a female level would sound like. So you're talking about 4 different sections that you can see visually, because I wanted to show you this is how easy it is.
Right.
You can do this in an app. You can do this anywhere. So all you're basically doing is changing the pitch from high to low. And we can go from male. We could go from, Luther Vandross all the way up to Mariah Carey in the touch of a button.
In other words, even though on the 911 phone call, the dispatcher is referring to this person as a male, as a sir, right? This could be a woman?
It could, absolutely.
Okay.
Not in this, they changed their voice changer all the way and brought the pitch down so it sounds like a man, but this could be anybody.
Is there any way to pinpoint the technology that they use? You said there's a free apps. Is there any way you could say, I know exactly what this technology is. I know where you can buy it. I know who would have, maybe look at the purchase history, anything like that? Or am I thinking too deep into the weeds here?
No, you're not thinking too deep into the woods. Like I said, it comes back to the source material. And since this has been everywhere, looking underneath the hood is not going to give us that. But looking at the spectrogram and some tips and tricks that we know as forensic audio analysts, like, wait a second, regularly spaced harmonics, untouched harmonics usually have a straighter line. When you're going to see this visually, this is going to be blurry, but we call it stepped on. This is blurry, this is fuzzy, but yet, depending on where they put the pitch, the lower formats and frequencies of the fundamental frequencies stay low. They stay within the range. So that's how I know that basically someone took an app or software that's available anywhere, or it's on their iPad if they wanted to. And I'm just gonna turn the pitch up, or I'm gonna turn it down. It really is that easy. Now,
here's the $1 million question. From what you've seen, is there any way to pinpoint the identity of this person? And I apologize for this question. I don't even know if there is a database out there of voices, if there is a way to take someone's voice that's not altered, you put it somewhere and you say, I could be able to identify who that person is. I'm sorry if that's a juvenile question, but A, is there a way to pinpoint the true voice of this person and be able to identify who this person is?
Well, this is the forensic question. And you know what? Unfortunately, you're going to get the answer, it depends. And again, it depends on the provenance and the integrity of the recording. What I can do, and what I showed in this example, is I showed you how I can start from the recording that you gave me, how I've changed it, and how I can bring it back to exactly what it was before. So it depends answer is, if I had that original recording and we had, an alleged or a person of interest or a couple persons of interest, and if I lowered or raised the pitch to the same frequency and we had some matching frequency, it would make a very interesting pool of suspects.